Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Call of Juarez Gunslinger. This is the fourth game in the Call of Juarez series, not exactly the most popular series of all time, but for the most part a series of Western games. With the exception of the third game, which was Call of Juarez Cartel, which was dreadful. It's a shame, actually, because it had some really interesting ideas, including the notion of it being a co-op game where it was possible to betray your compadres, but it was horribly executed in pretty much every respect, and as a result was an unmitigated disaster. It was also based in modern Mexico as opposed to the actual Wild West, so this game, Gunslinger, is a return to that. However, they have changed the focus and the business model of the game slightly. The original Call of Juarez was semi-open world. It actually had some pretty damn cool elements to it, and it, at the time, was certainly one of the best Wild West games that had come out in pretty much forever. And then, of course, we have games like Red Dead Redemption that's popped up that just ended up blowing that out of the water, but Call of Juarez remains a pretty good game by the developer Techland. Now, Techland has a mixed history, let's just say. They very recently released Dead Island Riptide, which got mixed reviews. I personally liked it a lot, but that's probably because I didn't play too much of the original. I feel if you played a lot of the original, you would have saw more of the same without all that many improvements. They're currently working on a game which looks very much like Heretic or Hexen, and they've just released this one. Now, I talked about business model earlier. The difference between Call of Juarez and Call of Juarez Gunslinger is that this game is a $15 title with a bigger focus on arcade action, less so on the open world and exploration. That means you've got more linear levels, and it's focused almost entirely on shooting people in the face. Not a terrible idea, considering. Actually, not a terrible idea at all, and it means that almost everything you're doing in this game is action, 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 gun-based action for the most part. There's a very limited amount of stealth in it, extremely limited amount, which is good, because the original Call of Juarez's stealth was goddamn awful. I remember being stuck on, I think it was the second level, where there was a lot of sneaking going on through a cornfield with an instant failure state. It was dreadful! So I'm glad they got rid of that. Bound in Blood was the second title for it, and that ended up being a little bit more action-focused, but Gunslinger, as I said, $15 title, focused on the arcade action, speaking of which, there is actually a full-on arcade mode for this, as well as a dueling mode and the story. The story we'll do a little bit of, and then I'll show you arcade mode. Nuggets of Truth, which is a very strange way to describe unlockables, tells you a whole bunch of information about different Wild West characters. A lot of this is actually based in real history, so you've got information about Billy the Kid and so on and so forth, and you unlock more information about all sorts of different characters as you pick up collectibles throughout the levels. Information on horse theft, for instance. The Lincoln County War, and so on and so forth. This is pretty cool, yeah? And there's a lot of that information to find there. I particularly like American history from that particular era, so it's nice to have that included. Let's take a quick look at the options menu here. Not a huge amount to report, really. There's some good things, and there's definitely some bad things. So, you can actually go up to 120 Hz here. It has a tendency to default back to 60, so do watch out for that. I'll stay with 60 Hz for the time being, but it's nice that you can go up to 120 if you happen to have a 120 Hz monitor. Game runs at a very high frame rate on my machine. I actually am not even running with two Titans. I've just got my second one disabled, mostly because it messes up my streaming if I don't have it like that, but it runs at a really high frame rate. Like, performance for this game is absolutely fine as far as I can tell, at least on my machine. Not a lot of options to really play with here, although there are a few more in the config files. Now, what is of course missing here, again, is the Flv Slider. There were complaints about this on the forums. They have now enabled the changing of the horizontal FOV via the config files. I'll put some instructions in the description below this video to tell you how to do it. They did say do it at your own risk, because if you push it too far, it'll cause some weird animation issues, as well as some model issues. I've pushed mine to maximum, because that's just how I roll, which is 110. Now, that does cause, on certain guns, the right end of the arm to just kind of clip off. That doesn't matter to me in any way. It looks a little bit weird because your gun's extended very far out in front of you, but much, much better than actually running with a low FOV. Funnily enough, the game doesn't actually by default have that low an FOV. 82.5 is its default, which is a little larger than the original Black Ops at maximum FOV. It's definitely playable. The problem comes in the fact that this entire game, for some inexplicably stupid reason, has black bars. You see these, like, to the bottom of the top here? Like, even the mouse disappears behind them. There are black bars all the time on the screen. Now, you can turn off the stylization, which means you get a little bit more screen space that's actually given to the game and not pointless black borders, but they're still there, and there is no way of getting rid of them entirely. I have no idea why. Whatever the case, as a result of that, it actually compounds the FOV problem, so it seems like it's a lot narrower than it actually is. But if you up it in the config files, you'll be absolutely fine. Aside from that, gotta commend them for the fact that you can turn mouse smoothing all the way off, always nice to have that option, and key bindings can be rebound, as you can very clearly see here, and then be done individually, which I very much like. I hate it when they force you to rebind everything just because you want to click on one thing and maybe mess around with one key, so good for that. Invert mouse option good as well as invert mouse in dueling mode. So you can even individual mouse sensitivity tweaks for dueling mode as well. So gotta commend them for that. Surprising actually, considering that this very much appears to be a port of something that also came out in 360 and PlayStation 3, but they've done a pretty good job with that. Now, leaderboards are integral to the game because this is very much a single-player game with an arcade focus. I did say there's a story mode, and I'll show you a bit of that, but the arcade mode is also a big, meaty part of the game whereby you play through to get the best scores and the best combos, and you unlock new abilities as you go through. There's also a duels mode. I will probably show you that if I don't show you a duel here. Okay, so let's have a look at the story mode, shall we? The interesting thing about this, it's got a lot of narration, not only in the cutscenes, but also while you're going on through the actual levels themselves. It's a little bit Bastion-esque, actually, where some of the narration will react to what you do, which is very, very cool indeed, and the narration is actually surprisingly high quality. So let's head on into the story, shall we? This is Chapter 2. And there's even a New Game Plus option, which, again, always nice to see. You'll be able to play through the game with all of your unlocked abilities. Gonna play this through on hard mode. The game actually recommended I switch to hard because I was doing too well on normal. Always nice, you know, it's a nice big ego boost, isn't it? Alright, let's get into the game and show you exactly what's going on here, shall we? So, we're hunting down an outlaw gang right now. Now, the main character is narrating his story back to a bunch of people in a saloon, and they're asking him various questions, and they're also telling him what they think happened, and then he's explaining what really happened, which is actually pretty cool. They're describing stories that were put in dime novels and pulp fiction and things like that, and he's saying, no, that was ridiculous, this is what really happened, and giving a nice little bit of alt history perspective. It's really quite a cool spin. Alright, let's get on in and I'll show you what the gameplay's like. Alright, as you can see, the gun is a little bit far out in front of me there. That's just the nature of things with 110 FOV. 110 for some people might be a little bit too much. Little bit too much. For me, 110 is really, really nice. I like wide FOV. Some people actually find that too wide FOV makes them feel a little bit nauseous as well. So, customize it to what you feel is best. Alright, so welcome to Call of Juarez Gunslinger. The levels, for the most part, are pretty linear. It's less open world than the original was, and it's very much more directed. They're fairly clever with it. There's some townships that you go through, and they offer a couple of different paths, but for the most part, the game will funnel you down a very specific route. Now, if we look at the graphic style of it, they actually have this black outline around pretty much everything, which is a little bit weird because they didn't go too far with the cartoony aspect outside of that. You'll notice there's some very stylized announcement screens when you end up meeting a particularly important character, things like that, which I very much like, but in this case, what for the most part they did was just put a black outline around everything, maybe a little bit of a filter across it, and then say, yeah, that's probably enough. You see the blood spurt there is very stylized, but a lot of the character models, and certainly the texture quality, very much isn't, which is a little bit strange. So it's like they had an idea of what they wanted to do with it, but just couldn't quite get there, or just didn't have the time, just didn't want to. For the most part, you can see, you know, the texture quality here and everything like that looks like there's just sort of standard textures for a fairly low fidelity game, but then it throws a bunch of stuff in there as well. And texture quality overall is not that great, as you can see. I mean, that's not exactly high fidelity by any stretch of the imagination, and this is on high texture quality. But for the most part, it looks decent enough, yeah. It's reasonably colorful, it's got that nice western look to it, a lot of ashy colors, a lot of desert colors, sand-colored stuff, and the occasional splash of color. And those splashes of red do very much accent things quite nicely. If I'm totally honest, the stuff that really impresses me about this game is the cutscene stuff. That's the really cool stuff, and that is very, very impressive indeed. Now, every now and again, you'll get a little quick time event, which allows you to gun down a whole bunch of people, and then you will get some points for doing that. Alternatively, if you miss it, you'll just have to kill them regularly. It isn't an instant failure state, but you will take some damage, so I like that. I mean, I like the fact that it isn't an instant failure state. I mean, QTEs have never been the kind of thing that I'm too impressed by.
What happened to the cowboys? Did I say they were Apaches? I said Clanton's cowboys attacked me Apache style. I was in a pitched battle, but I was holding my own against an overwhelming enemy force.
Now, what you saw there is one of the most interesting things about it. Because of the nature of how they're telling the story, this guy in a saloon talking to people that have heard the legends but don't really know the full truth, you actually get sections where it will either start them over or change it depending on what he says. So there's actually a bit at the start of the game in the tutorial where they're talking about having a fair fight with this one character, and you'd go through the duel and it introduces you to the dueling mechanic, and they said, yeah, that's what you think happened, but what actually happened was I walked in there and he hit me over the head with a gun. So you then get that section as well. That's a really cool way of teaching you how to use the dueling mechanics in the game while also integrating some really interesting stuff into the story, and I very much appreciate that. It's a really cool way of doing things. Alright, so the gunplay for the most part, you can see, is pretty standard, but what isn't standard is the fact that you can do stuff like this. It does have a bullet time mode, which will allow you to slow down time and gun down people pretty quickly, mostly with generating health system, but you'll notice the bullets, the kind of paper holes on the screen will indicate where you got shot from. Uh-oh, that's really, really bad news. You can also dodge bullets every now and again. You charge up this meter to the top right there when you're low on health, and you'll be able to dodge a single shot that comes in your general direction. Nice little arcadey piece of functionality, and, you know, bullet time is very much overused, but it's a fun mechanic regardless. Now, speaking of fun mechanics, there are 3 different pseudo classes available in the game, including Gunslinger, Ranger, and Trapper. Now, in the arcade mode, you can pick between 1 or 3 of these and then unlock skills as you go through different runs. In this case, I'm putting points into Gunslinger. It doesn't appear that there's a lot of choice. It seems like you just kind of unlock the stuff, and then that allows you to push through to the second part. I think you can skip a couple of skills. You can either go up or down there, so I guess that's a little bit of choice, but as you can see here, I've got the ability to dual-wield revolvers. I can then get longer combos, and I can also get a faster reload. And I'm going to go to making time, which improves my agility and concentration, and then that'll take me through to the Engraved Ranger, which is an upgraded gun with more range and less recoil. So we will grab that. There we go. Ooh, nice. It's unlocked it immediately. Very cool. I wonder how you get that. Well, I guess we'll find out. They all have different playstyles. The Gunslinger very much, obviously, a dual wielder. Then you've got the Ranger, who focuses on long-range combat. And then the Trapper, who has a lot of close-range stuff, which is pretty cool. He's a tougher guy, focuses on shotguns, focuses on dynamite and blowing stuff up. Generally pretty enjoyable. It's nice that they put that in there. I have to wonder, considering I'm like halfway through this evolution here, I have to wonder if you can just unlock all of them. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me in any way if that's possible. Seems like you can mix and match, but I think it's kind of unfortunate that after 1 chapter I'm already at level 5 and I've got half of the skills for the Desperado. So it seems like you should just be able to get everything. You know, that kind of sucks, because I think it would give you more replayability if you had more skills in each class. That would be nice. There we go. Alright, now you can grab a shotgun. You can basically grab a secondary weapon. My default weapons here, as you can see, are the Akimbos. Where on earth is this shot? Ooh, hello. Dodge the bullet! Ah! Wrong way. An absolute total failure there. The gunplay in general is fairly enjoyable. This part here is not that great because you're firing a lot of enemies that are high up, so you don't get a lot of the more fun close-range combat, and kind of similar to something like Bulletstorm, you get more points for doing cooler shots. So you get like piercing shot, long range shots, you can shoot someone directly in the face with a shotgun and you can get a bunch of extra benefit from that. But, you know, especially when I'm not a long range fighter, this is not actually an ideal situation to be in, by any stretch of the imagination. I'm fighting with a rifle, yet I have no rifle associated skills, so this is less fun and, quite frankly, is causing me a few problems. Ah, alright. Leg it. Leg it. There we go. Now, the game is very much scripted, and there's no real doubt about that. It's a roller coaster. You don't have all that many choices to make for the most part. You can do a couple of things, like in Duel, you can actually dishonorably kill someone, and it'll change the narration in the process. This is really not good. Dodge that way, there we go. Take him out, very, very nice. But for the most part, it is focused almost entirely on the combat. Thankfully, the combat is very, very fun. It's... I wouldn't call it realistic by any stretch of the imagination. It's very, very arcadey, but being able to rapid-fire various different kinds of revolvers, get big double-barreled shotguns, rifles, and of course get dynamite to throw does give you a number of very interesting and cool possibilities. Perhaps not as varied as it could be, but then again, we are talking about Wild West combat. What can you really do in that regard? Unless, of course, you happen to be Red Dead Redemption, you can do a lot of horse stuff, then you really don't have all that many options. What on... I assume that was deliberate. It looked like a bug, but it was referencing manna from heaven, so like the corpse actually fell from heaven. The game is interesting in terms of how it actually references itself. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and I like that very much. It adds to the feel of it being a strange arcadey action. Alright. Sweet. So I got a bunch of ammo for my 6-shooters. I can reload those, and I can get into it. As you'll note, you know, there's a bunch of kind of false terrain. It is a very, very linear game. Now, what we should talk about is the price point, not because of how cheap it is. I think it's a very common misconception to say it's okay because it's $15. Here's the thing, a lot of things are $15 now on PC because of the nature of Steam, yeah? You've got these really deep discount sales, and as a direct result, saying it's $15 is not a really good way to do it. What you need to look at is not the price point, but the business model associated with the price point and what it's actually aiming to do, yeah? So what they aim to do in this case is to create a game that had a very limited scope for a small price point, yeah? Something that would help the brand, something that would make them some money, and also be more enjoyable. I was talking about this with Blood Dragon, right? Blood Dragon's a $15 game with a very specific focus. It's a more limited focus than Far Cry 3, and that's a good thing, yeah? That's actually a really good thing indeed. You create a shorter experience and you are just able to focus on a couple of key aspects to what make the game fun, yeah? In this case, the gunplay and the Wild West theme and the storytelling, yeah? And you could do that by making it a very, very linear game that's focused on the narration. Well, you couldn't really do that as much with Call of Juarez, even Bound in Blood. Call of Juarez had 2 separate characters. Bound in Blood is very much focused on the co-op aspect of things. Here, it's all about this very specific experience. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. These really cool cutscenes and things like that, this hyper-stylized stuff that's going on, these set-piece boss battles. Very linear FPS, but with a very cool focus. And for $15, in my opinion, this is actually a really good time. This was $60, and you'd say, oh, what a limited scope this game actually has, right? Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah, for that price, it would be a very, very limited scope. It's not the kind of thing that I think people would dig, but in this case... no, it's actually really, really cool because it's a few hours of fun Western enjoyment for $15 with a solid combat system. And then you've got that arcade mode. And that arcade mode is actually more fun than you might think. And we'll go through that a little bit later. It's got various different levels. It allows you to play through and basically try to speedrun while unlocking new abilities and trying out different guns and different kinds of shots. So it's a very nice, skillful way of doing things. And if you're into the speedrunning, you're into the skill runs, you probably dig it an awful lot. Can I duck under that? Yes, I can. So I'll just let my health regenerate for a second, and I'll try and pick him off. Now, the dueling is probably the weakest part of it. It's got some interesting ideas behind it, but I don't know if it's all that well executed. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to show it to you. If I don't, I can go into duels mode, and I can probably show it to you then. Where is he? Yeah, that was pretty ugly. I'm not sure if I can actually make this run here. Maybe I can dodge over to the side. Hard to know. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Whoop. Slide would be nice. You know, that's the kind of... I think it could have definitely been improved with some nice moves. I mean, at the end of the day, it is an arcade game, so you don't have to worry too much about the realism. So doing a slide, I mean, you've already got akimbo pistols and things like that. Having a slide maneuver would be pretty cool, but it's definitely not a game that really focuses on that too much. I don't think the cactus is legit cover. As it turns out, it's definitely not legit cover. The Gatling gun ripped right through that one. Might be able to use my Q ability there, and now I've got to do this whole bloody thing again, don't I? I have a feeling I'm not going to enjoy this boss fight. I always hate the boss fights where there's a contrived method to actually killing them rather than just like raw skill. It's like, dodge here, dodge there, wait for your health to regen, dodge again. Because you pretty much are, you're going to take hits one way or the other. Even if you wait in between the volleys, you're still going to take some damage. Gonna stay in cover. Wait for the fire to end, run to the next objective. There we go. I'm not sure if I can kill him from this distance, even with the time stop. Maybe I can. Hard to know. Dodge over here. Now, where's that fire coming from? Okay, there it is. It is nice, though, because you do get that cool narration in the background, and it very much keeps the pacing going. This is something that I liked about Bastion as well. It's like, the pacing of the story is really, really good as a result of the use of that narration. And every now and again, something will change. I don't think it's as extreme as Bastion. It's very limited circumstances where you will actually get that different piece of dialogue there, but it's good. I mean, it's a good voice actor, it's done in the right kind of style, and because they actually mix it in with different characters instead of it just being one guy, whereas it was in Bastion, it actually becomes more of an interesting story. It's a Wild West yarn that's based around half-truths and legends and all sorts of crazy stuff there, and I love the fact that it is willing to say, no, that's not what really happened. Here's what really happened. That's really interesting. For a game like that, I'm actually kind of surprised that they went down that route. I think that's more effort than you would have expected out of a $15 title like this, really. You know, you could probably just get away with making the arcade mode, releasing that $15, and then that would be about it. But they did actually put some more effort into it. They obviously knew what they were wanting to do. As a direct result, aside from some issues, like I said, the FOV and the kind of dodgy cut-offs, but the FOV for the most part's being fixed. I mean, if you're going to push it to 110, you should expect some of the models to clip off a little bit. 90 or 100 is pretty reasonable. Those black bars on the screen, I don't even know why they're there, but they need to go. They're actually stylized unless you turn that option off, which covers up even more of the screen with, like, ink blots and things like that. I turned that off because I found it obnoxious, but you can't turn off the black bars. So as a direct result, you lose some of that screen space for no apparent reason whatsoever. That's annoying. I wish they'd patch that out. Hopefully they will. But the FOV otherwise is pretty much fine. Texture quality is kind of lousy, but again, it is a $15 title. It's still a decent-looking game. It's just nowhere near as cool as it could have been if they put a little bit more effort in there. But on the plus side, because it's fairly low fidelity, it also runs pretty well. So you don't really need to worry too much about that. Here, I have some dynamite. That's the wrong place, isn't it? Don't know who I got with that, if anybody. Ugh. Yeah, I could probably toss another dynamite over there, maybe get him with that. That would be nice. Did I hit him? Did I hit him? No. No, I did not. Oh, no! Come on! Come on! It better not put me back down the bottom of the hill. If it puts me back down the bottom of the hill, I'm gonna get mad. It's probably gonna put me back down the bottom of the hill, isn't it? Oh, it's not. Good. I was about to rant about the checkpoints, but thankfully, no. The checkpoints are actually fairly generous. Uh-oh, dynamite. You know what the game recommended? I should put it on hard instead of normal. They were lying. They were absolutely lying. So, once I've beaten this boss, I'll do the arcade mode and maybe show you the dueling as well, because, you know, it's a mechanic you're going to have to deal with, and some people are probably going to say, oh, that's pretty cool. Then some people are going to say, no, oh, come on. It's put me on a checkpoint where it pretty much immediately throws dynamite at me. What a dick move that is. Oh, was he was about to throw dynamite, wasn't he? I was hoping that would then go off in his hand, but apparently not. Oh well. Ugh. It's pretty dodgy. I know there's one more guy over there, but I think I can make the run. There we go. Sweet, switch over the pistols. I'm gonna take this boss out, and then I'll show you arcade mode, which is this fun speedrunning mode. And so far, for a $15 title, this is actually a bunch of fun. You don't get all that many Wild West games, especially not on PC, because for some inexplicable reason we don't have Red Dead. So, really, Call of Juarez and then a couple of indie titles have really been all we've got, which is not that cool, really. I would like to see more than that. Wild West is definitely a cool theme. Overall, thematically, I think the game is very nicely put together. It's very much held together by that strong narrative and by some nice Wild West jokes and some cool historical collectibles, and I appreciate that greatly. I think they did a stellar job in that respect. And really, you can't really do all that much more with the combat than what they've already done to begin with. Simply because it's Wild West guns and dynamite, right? There's really not all that much else you could do. You can maybe put a bow in there, do some play that way, but... Did I even hit him with that? I seem to be missing it with every stick of dynamite and throwing it in a general direction, which is really quite embarrassing. There you go. Have a few bullets. So randomly wait for him to finish. There we go. Have some dynamite. Come on. Surely that would hit him. No. Come on. Dynamite apparently is the most that must have hit him. Come on. Really? This guy will eventually go down, I promise. Thankfully, there's respawning dynamite here. Alright, let's just randomly toss dynamite in that general direction in hopes of... Oh, come on, it's detonating in the air. Oh, God! This was a dreadful plan. Come on. I'm gonna get this guy. He is gonna go down. There you go. Very nice. Sweet. Alright, I'm going to quit out of this, and I'm going to show you the arcade mode and then the dueling, and then I'll wrap this up. So far, as I said, I'm having really good fun with this, and I think that there's definitely a market for this kind of title. We'll do link mechanics. I've done that one before, so I can show you a bit of a better run through it. So I've only got 1 star on this so far, if you can actually believe that. Now, the arcade mode is very much a score attack. It's based on beating it in the fastest time possible with getting the best combo possible. You can only maintain the combo by continuing to shoot people or things which count. So stuff like pumpkins and glass bottles, you can actually shoot those to extend your combo. And you can pick from one of the 3 different classes and you unlock stuff as you go. So the Ranger, who I've actually unlocked something for, the Gunslinger, which is what I was playing there, and then the Trapper, who he by default starts with a shotgun. You can actually... And you can also, I think you can change your weapon set, but I'm not really sure how. Maybe you can't. But you can definitely grab different weapons along the way, so that's pretty cool. If you feel like you really need a shotgun at a certain point, then you can definitely get that. Here you can see I've upgraded my rifle reload, and I have faster aiming, and then once you've unlocked everything, you've got a better chance at actually hitting that really high score. So, you're going to do this as quickly as possible, and as effectively as possible, preferably without being shot, which I'm doing a terrible job of so far. There we go. Sweet. And then, of course, you can do your reloads, or you can switch over to different guns. So that was a 5x combo. In arcade mode, you can actually hit the R button to reload faster, which is a nice little feature that isn't actually in the single-player story, although I can definitely understand why. There we go. And then you can extend that combo by doing stuff like shooting bottles. So that will actually keep my combo alive, which then allows me to take him down. Then I can blitz through here, get another shot here, another shot there you go. Pop, pop, pop. And then you can combo it up with stuff like hitting explosives and things like that. Can I get one more? No. So my combo was 9 there. Not too bad. And that's pretty much arcade mode in a nutshell. Yeah, it's kill stuff as fast as possible, as cool as possible, getting stuff like piercing shots and headshots and killing stuff with explosives and all that kind of stuff will definitely help your situation. There we go. One there. Can we hit the explosives there and do damage? Yes, we can. Very cool. Oh, can I get another one? Yes, I can. Keep my combo going. Keep my combo going. Run, run, run. This is actually fun. Like, the hectic nature of this is actually really, really fun. And I can definitely appreciate it. I'm on a 15 combo now. Can I get any more? Where's everyone else? Ah! Too close on the pumpkin. That would have extended my combination, but... Uh-oh. Out of ammo as well. I've been going through... This is one of the risks. If you don't learn where the ammo and the other weapon pickups are in this game, then you can end up in a really awkward position where you have to rely on your sidearm, which is definitely not good. And I'll probably end up dying here. But you get the idea, right? This is what arcade mode is, and it's actually a surprisingly good time. It's a cool way to play through some of the levels in a quicker fashion if all you want is that arcadey gunplay and you want to compete with your friends in terms of your actual score. Needless to say, the arcade mode is super linear, way more linear than the actual story is. I know, that seems like it's not even possible, but it is. I don't think I've even got any more rifle ammunition. Oh, I do. Never mind. I managed to get some. Alright. Okay. One in the face. Let's hit the explosives. Hit him. There we go. Can I hit him? Oh, I wanted to hit him over the head there. There we go. There's the headshot. Where's the last one? There he is. Keep that combo going. One in the house. One at the top. One at the... Reload a little faster than that. One at the top. Keep that combo going. There's one inside, and that will be the finish, I think. There we go. So 2 minutes 35, that's actually my best time on that level yet. But you can definitely see how we get quicker and quicker, as it's still 1 star, man. God, you pretty much got to nail this perfectly without even getting hit, I think. But I got the time bonus there, it takes me up to the bonus score. Still 1 star, but hey, yeah, that's what the arcade mode is. And it's fun. It actually is, and you unlock more levels as you go through, and you unlock more skills for your characters as you go through. Now, last but by all means least, dueling. Let's talk about that. This is a key mechanic to the game. Yeah, we're going to enter the duel challenge. Now, I wished I could show you one in the story mode, but it's not going to let me do that because there wasn't one. So I'll show you a duel that came from the story mode. Now, the dueling challenge, as you can tell, is most likely score-based and accuracy-based. So there's an entire set of mechanics in the dueling itself. Alright, so in the dueling, you've got to try and get the best focus possible, yeah? So this is me gaining focus, and I need to keep an eye on his gun and see exactly when he's going to draw and then try and draw before him. You've got to do it honorably in this case. In the game, you can actually do it dishonorably and shoot him before he's ready, but you do get a score penalty for that. Let's keep an eye on it. Let's keep an eye on it. I've got good focus. Pull the gun. I'm not going to be fast enough. It's pretty tricky. So you've got to control the drift of your focus, but you've also got to move your hand closer to the gun to give you that speed bonus. But your hand will drift away from the gun from time to time. So I guess this was probably designed with dual sticks in mind. It works pretty well with the mouse and keyboard, but it is definitely by no means easy. And I could certainly see people getting very, very frustrated with it indeed. Now I'm keeping my hand close here. My focus is looking pretty good. I should be getting the good speed bonus here. Let's just keep, but you've also got to keep an eye on his hand, and let's pull. And I missed him. Oh, it went past his ear. Now, every now and again, you'll face these in the story mode, and then there's this dueling challenge here, and it's nice. I like in the story mode that you can be dishonorable and just shoot the guy. That's pretty cool. Admittedly, you will get a score penalty for it, but it's nice that it kind of gives you that choice. But I definitely see where they're coming from with it. I don't know if I enjoy the dueling mode, but that's probably because I'm really bad at it. It's nice that they gave it its own set of mechanics. Is it good? Hard to say. Very hard to say. Pull! Yeah, in the shoulder. We both went down. Oh, back to back they faced each other, drew their swords, and shot each other. There we go. Alright, that is Call of Juarez, Gunslinger, ladies and gentlemen. It's actually really fun. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. It was damn unplayable before they put the patch in, and there's still some things that I'd like them to fix, but for a $15 focus title, it's surprisingly good. And what really surprised me was the fact that the story mode was actually compelling because of that narration. I imagine that if it didn't have that, it would be significantly weaker, because it's just a linear story, two-gun system, and so on and so forth. But with the skill system in there, and that really cool narration, and the nice Western theme, and some stylization here and there, even though I don't think they stylized it as much as they eventually wanted it to, it ended up being a really, really solid few hours of fun. So there you go. Currently available, ladies and gentlemen, on Steam. I would recommend that you look into it. Yeah! Sit down. Call of Juarez, Gunslinger. Currently available on PC. My name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.